Hey, Pineapple Principle community. I'm your host, Sherry Steele, for the Pineapple Principle podcast, and I am so excited that we are getting ready to start our Advent series this holiday season. I have my very dear, sweet friend Rachel with me on the podcast this year. We're actually going to be using characters from the Advent story this year to talk about the peace, the joy, the hope, and the love that Jesus brought when he came into this world as just a small baby Jesus. And so this week, we're actually using the wiseman and we're talking about peace. So let's check it out. Then Herod secretly summoned the wise men and asked them the exact time the star appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. When you find him, report back to me so that I can go and worship him." After hearing the king, they went on their way, and there it was. The star had seen as its rising. It led them until it came and stopped above the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overwhelmed with joy. Entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and falling to their knees, they worshipped him. They opened their treasures and presented him with the gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their own country by another route.
I love that.
Me too. Me too. I want to talk about the wise men today, and I want to talk about how they were about peace, because this is our first week of Advent, and the first week we always talk about peace. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, even though I said it, I was. When you think of peace in your relationship with Jesus, what do you say when people ask you?
I think of Jehovah Shalom. That's probably the first thing I think of. I think I pray for peace a lot, so I try to remind God of his promise to me. But just in this context, it's cool to think how they were in the pursuit of the Prince of Peace. So yeah, I mean, I think during these times it's hard to find peace within stressful life, work, having to balance personal life, and all the things we want to do, being in community. So I'm glad we're starting with peace. Yeah, I think it's key.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that's what the wise men were searching for. What was going on in the world right then was a lot of war and suffering and injustice, and I think they were looking for the king that was going to bring peace to them. That's exactly what they were looking for. And I think a lot of times when we think of the wise men, I don't know, as a kid, I just thought, oh, they were the three people who brought him gifts, but they really had a greater purpose
Right.
for why they were searching for him. And he did bring us that. He did bring us peace.
There's a lot more.
Yes, a lot more. We have a lot of great gifts because Jesus came. But I don't know. What's your take on it? Tell me when you did a little research on peace and the wise men, what'd you find?
I mean, yeah, I have to agree. I remember thinking, especially as a child, like it was synonymous to gifts. Like they brought Jesus, and I think as a child also it's easy to think they brought him toys, and because that's what you think a gift is as a child. But it's so interesting because during this time they really wanted to kill Jesus. So it's ironic that as all this is happening, they're like, no, like we are focused on finding the Prince of Peace, and it doesn't matter what length we have to go through or go to, and what we have to overcome to get there. And it's so cool that, even how they were led by the stars, like it's just so um, symbolic of how much faith they had. And I don't know, I mean, I know these are different times, but I can't imagine myself being in their shoes and knowing so much is happening, and people want this person dead, and we're in the pursuit of this person, to not, you know just not to just bring him gifts, which were much more than toys, very valuable gifts,
They were.
but to find the Prince of Peace. So it's yeah, yeah, these people were so brave, really.
They were. I think that's also something that, like you talked about, they were brave, but I feel like sometimes it's hard for us to be brave when God asks us to do something, or even like, our community is made up of teenage young girls. And so sometimes it's even harder to be brave than with your faith, because you don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to be known as the different person. You don't want you don't want to be the outcast. But I feel like talking to God and praying and asking Him to give you peace in those situations and to be brave is, it's an easy task for Him to do. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we have to realize that our relationship with Him is so much more important than being the popular one. Mm-hmm. We're going to be made fun of our whole entire lives. I don't know about you, but I'm an adult and people still, I know, talk about me, make fun of me.
Same.
Like it still happens, and I just don't care. Go ahead. Like, I heard one time, and I love it. Somebody said, someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. And I think that's true. The only opinion that matters is God's, of us and what we're doing to live out for Him. And I think it's so much easier to have that peace and reminding Him, like you said when you started out, of the promises that He has made with us, because He's made a covenant with us and He's not going to break that covenant. So, but you were talking about the gifts, and I did a little digging. So, and what some people believe that the gold that they brought represented that Jesus was the King of the Jews, because you think of a gold crown, gold valuable thing is so the King of the Jews. The frankincense was actually for His divinity and His identity as the Son of God. And then the myrrh was about His mortality. And they actually used that myrrh to bury Him when they prepared Him after He died on the cross for us. They used myrrh to prepare His body. So they brought Him things that, that represented Him and that who He was. So I thought that was kind of cool when I did a little digging, that the gifts had meaning. They just weren't random gifts. They were about something that was going to happen 33 years later.
And I'm not sure, but I don't even realize I don't know that they realized what the meaning of those gifts would be in the long run. Which is so cool how the Bible is so full circle.
It is so very full circle. And it's funny when you're digging in the Old Testament and things that you see happen in the New Testament. And I think that's another way to find peace is by being in your word.
Right.
By reading, the word every day, just being in it, just seeing that love story of how God loves us and everything that He did from us from the beginning of time up until now. It's all just part of His plan. Like, He has this huge, He's playing the long game is basically what God's doing. He's like, we want to get in a hurry, but He doesn't get in a hurry. Like, we want the hustle and bustle we get all caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, but God's not about the hustle. He's playing the long game. He's got this plan has stretched out for thousands of years already now, and we don't know how long it's going to continue, but he's got a plan. And I think to stay in that peace and not to get stressed over life in general, which the holidays is a bigger time to get stressed. And I think more so for grown-ups, for adults like us, and not a teen girl. Like, I don't remember being stressed during the holidays. I just remember being excited and wondering, what kind of presents I was going to get. But I think now, and I think to know that as you grow older, it's not a season to get all stressed out about and the hustle and bustle of the holiday. Like, I think we need to spend a little less time worrying about the hustle and more time just being in his presence and having that peace. So, I don't know.
Yes, I think during these times it's easy to focus on, you know, where we're going to spend the holidays, what are we going to be making for, our family, even like for young girls, like what are my friends going to be getting for the holidays? Maybe like, how am I going to feel if I don't get what, I don't know, what do girls want? Want to like
Probably new
yeah. The electronics.
Yeah.
But I think even within young girls that may feel secondhand stress from their parents, maybe their parents can't afford the nicer things. Maybe they're in a difficult situation with their families where they won't have maybe dinner with their close ones, or they have to kind of hop around, or whatever it may be for them. I think it's good to remember that we can find peace in God. We can find peace in prayer. We can find peace, as you said, in the Word. And sometimes what helps me is just writing some things down that I'm very grateful for. Just kind of having more of a gratitude mentality where we can look back and look at the small ways that God, small ways for us in our perspective, right, has shown up for us. Maybe I don't get to have a full family dinner with everyone that I wish I did, but I'm thankful for my neighbor for inviting us over and making us feel included. Maybe my mom can't get me the new iPhone, or my dad, can't spend it with us because he has to work, but I'm thankful my dad has a job that can provide for the little that we do have, or that my mom worked really hard to, get me a sweater that I really wanted and that I wasn't expecting. So I think there's a lot of value and perspective. And I think it really influences if we're, in a peaceful mentality or not. So those are certainly things that we have to remember, even as adults, like, how can I be more thankful in the holidays? And just overall to have just more peace.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. I think it's all about to have peace, you have to have the right perspective. They go hand in hand. So, because it's easy, God can be there for us all day long, but if we don't have the right perspective, we're never going to have that peace. We miss it. We miss out on it. Yeah. Got anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. They were very bold in their faith. I think the wise men, it just shows how trusting they were on the Lord. I mean, I know, again, these were different times, but to be led by stars and just to trust that, they weren't going to get killed or nothing was going to happen to them. And I think also what might be interesting is that they might have been looking for someone that was very high and mighty, and just to find Jesus where he was. I'm just trying to put myself in their position, and it just takes so much humbleness to put yourself through that.
Girl, I still get lost with the GPS, so I can't imagine letting the stars guide me somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
I still take a wrong turn when the GPS tells me to go right, I go left.
These were bold men.
They were. And they were, they were looking for that ultimate peace because times were hard back then. There was war, there was suffering, there was injustice, there was things going on then, just like we said, like there are now today. But they went looking for that peace, that Prince of Peace that came to give us all peace. To have peace forever. Like, we don't have to wait to get to heaven to have that peace. Like, we can have that peace right now here on earth with the right perspective, like you said.
We hope today's show encouraged you and gave you a few aha moments, and most importantly, have you digging deeper in your relationship with Jesus. Make sure to check out the show notes for any scriptures or books we mention, and if you love the podcast, Make sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen and share it with a friend. And if you want to know more, follow us on Instagram or go to our website, pineappleprinciple.org. Until next time, stand firm in your faith, own your crown, and love like Jesus.